The fire reached the roof before anyone realized the child was still inside. Flames tore through the widow Malone's house, bright and violent against the winter night. Snow hissed into steam where it touched the blaze. Men shouted. Women cried out. Buckets passed hand to hand, useless against something already too hungry. And right there on the edge of the chaos, Nora Reed ran straight into it. No hesitation. No second thought. Just the sound of a mother screaming a name, and her feet moving before her mind could catch up. Someone grabbed at her sleeve. Don't. Too late. She was already gone. Smoke swallowed her the moment she crossed the threshold. It burned her throat raw. Heat pressed against her skin like a living thing. The world turned black and red, no shapes, no direction, just fire and choking air. She dropped low, crawling, Mary. Her voice scraped out, barely more than a breath. Something cracked overhead. Wood splintered. A beam shifted. The house was coming apart. Then, a sound. Soft, broken. A child trying not to cry. Nora turned toward it, hands sliding across hot floorboards, until her fingers touched fabric. Small shoulders. Trembling, I've got you. She didn't wait. Didn't check the path behind her. She wrapped the girl tight against her chest and turned and froze. The door was gone, not closed. Gone, fire filled the space where it had been. Outside, the crowd surged back as sparks burst into the night. Where is she? Someone saw her go in. Callum Wyatt didn't speak. He didn't shout. He just moved. Straight toward the flames. Inside, Nora pressed the child closer. The air was thinning. Her lungs pulled nothing but heat. Her eyes burned. She turned, feeling along the wall anything, any way out glass. A window. She grabbed the nearest chair, lifted it, and slammed it forward. Once, twice, on the third strike, it shattered. Cold air rushed in like a shock. The fire roared louder, feeding on it. No time. She lifted the girl, pushed her through the opening hands, caught her. Then Nora followed. She hit the frozen ground hard. The world spun. Voices blurred. Someone poured water over her. The child cried. Alive, alive. Nora tried to breathe. Then another scream. The dog. Callum didn't slow, didn't think, didn't even look back. He ran straight into the burning house. No. Nora tried to rise. Her legs failed. She dragged herself forward, coughing, vision shaking. Time stretched thin. Too thin. The house groaned. Fire climbed higher. And then he appeared. Through the smoke, carrying something small. Moving uneven, one shoulder-low A-beam fell. Struck him hard. Knocked him down. Men rushed forward, dragged him out just as the roof gave way. Flames collapsed inward with a sound like thunder breaking. The house was gone. Nora crawled to him. His shirt was burned through, skin red, blistered, his breathing shallow. But he was alive. Barely. Get him up, she said, voice steady in a way that didn't match her shaking hands. Now, they carried him through the snow, through the silent streets, past doors that cracked open just enough for people to watch, past eyes that had once doubted her, past whispers that had never stopped. She walked beside him the entire way, one hand gripping his arm, not letting go. Inside his house, the fire was still burning low in the hearth. Warm, steady, safe, everything the outside world was not. Water, she ordered. Clean cloth. Move. People obeyed, not because she raised her voice, but because something in it left no room for hesitation. She cut the fabric away from his skin. Slow, careful. Her hands didn't shake now. Not anymore. There was no space for that. Only the work. The burn spread across his shoulder, down his back. Angry, raw, alive, he stirred. Eyes opening just enough to find her. You, all right? He whispered. She didn't answer, just pressed a clean cloth to the wound. Night settled around the house. The town quieted. The fire was out. But inside, another fight had just begun. She didn't leave his side. Not once. Through the first night. Through the second. Through the long stretch where time stopped meaning anything at all. She fed him when he couldn't lift his head, changed bandages when his skin burned under her touch, sat still when his body jerked against pain he couldn't escape, and every time his breathing faltered her hand tightened around his, as if holding him there, as if refusing to let him drift any further. On the second night, he spoke. Not to her. Not really. Margaret, the name slipped out soft. Lost. I came back, Nora's hand stilled. Just for a second. Then she leaned close. Rest, she said quietly. Her voice didn't break, but something inside her shifted. By morning, the fever broke. Slow, gradual, like a storm pulling away. He opened his eyes, clear this time, and the first thing he saw was her. Slumped in the chair, still holding his hand. You're here, he said. She blinked awake, straightened immediately. Where else would I be? Her tone was firm, controlled, but her fingers hadn't let go. Silence filled the room. Soft, heavy, different from before. You shouldn't have gone back in, she said after a moment. He watched her. You did. That was a child. He shifted slightly. Winced, that dog was all she had left. She looked at him then. Really looked. At the man who had walked into fire twice in one night. Not for glory, not for praise, just because something needed saving. You could have died. So could you. The words hung between them, neither moving, neither backing away. Then her breath caught. Just slightly. I thought she stopped. Didn't finish, didn't need to. His hand tightened around hers. I'm still here. She nodded once, looked away, but didn't pull back. Outside, the town began to move again. Doors opened, boots hit the ground, life returned. But inside that small house something had changed. Not loudly, not all at once, just enough to be felt. And neither of them said a word about it. Morning came quiet. Too quiet for a town that had nearly burned the night before. Snow covered the ruins of the widow Malone's house, turning black ash into something almost peaceful. Smoke still curled from the wreckage, thin and stubborn, like it refused to leave. Inside Callum Wyatt's house, the fire in the hearth burned low and steady, and Nora Reed had not slept. She sat beside him, sleeves rolled, hands moving with slow precision. Fresh bandages, clean cloth, careful pressure, every touch measured, every movement exact. Callum watched her, not speaking, just studying the way she worked, the way her jaw tightened when she focused, the way she leaned closer when his breathing shifted. You stayed, he said quietly. Her hands didn't stop. I had work to do. He almost smiled. Almost by midday, word spread across Dust Hollow. Not about the fire, not about the house, not even about the child saved. About her. She went in first, pulled the girl out herself, and him they say he followed her. Fool thing to do. Or brave. Same thing sometimes. At the well, voices dropped when Nora approached. At the mercantile, eyes followed her. Some looked different now. Less suspicion. More, something else. Still careful, still watching. But not all of it had softened. She lives in his house. Now they share a bed too, I'll wager. That's how it starts. Nora heard it. Didn't react. Didn't slow. She had heard worse in other towns. But this time, it stayed with her. That evening she returned with supplies. Bandages, herbs, a small jar of honey. She stepped inside quietly. Callum was sitting up, trying to pull his shirt over one arm. Bad idea. You're going to tear the skin, she said. He froze, then lowered the fabric slowly. I can manage. No, she said. Then, softer, let me. She stepped closer, took the shirt from his hands, lifted it carefully, guided it over his shoulder inch by inch. Her fingers brushed his skin, warm, alive too aware. He didn't move, didn't speak, just watched her. There, she said, stepping back fast, too fast. Silence filled the room. Again, you should rest, she added. I've rested enough. You nearly burned alive. And you didn't? She looked at him. Really looked. Something flickered there. Sharp, unsteady. I didn't come back for a dog, she said. No, he answered. You came back for someone who needed you. He shifted slightly, pain tightening his breath. But I saw you run in there, he continued. And I didn't think. She waited. I just knew I couldn't stand there and watch. Her chest rose slow, then slower. You shouldn't risk yourself like that. You shouldn't either. A pause. Long, heavy. Then we're both guilty, he said. She almost laughed. Didn't. Instead, she turned away, reached for the kettle, needed something to do. Anything. Behind her, he spoke again. Nora. She stopped. Didn't turn. That night, he said. The first one. Her fingers tightened around the kettle handle. When I asked you to stay, he paused. Searching, I didn't expect you to. She let out a breath. Slow, controlled, I didn't expect to either. Silence again. But not the same kind. You were cold, he said. So were you. He shifted. Winced, ignored it. House felt different after that. She turned now, met his eyes. How? He held her gaze. Didn't look away. Less empty. The word landed soft. But it stayed. Nora swallowed, looked down, then back up. It did, she said. Quiet. The fire cracked. A log shifted. Outside, wind moved through the street, carrying voices, carrying judgment, carrying everything that came with small towns and smaller minds. Inside, something else was growing. Slow, careful. I should have left, she said suddenly. The words came out sharper than she intended. Callum frowned. When? That first morning. She stepped back, arms crossing without thinking, before anyone noticed, before anyone talked, before it turned into this. He watched her. Didn't interrupt. I was supposed to move on, she continued. That's what I do. A pause. I don't stay. That one hung heavier than the rest. Callum leaned back slightly, careful of his shoulder. Then why didn't you? She opened her mouth, closed it, didn't answer. Because she knew. And so did he. Outside, a horse passed, hooves slow in the snow. Someone laughed in the distance, life moving forward like nothing had changed. But inside that house, everything had. I'll be here tomorrow, she said finally. And the day after. He nodded once. Good. She turned back to the fire, added wood, watched the flames rise. Behind her, he lay back slowly, careful, breathing steady. But neither of them slept early that night. Later, when the house had gone still, Nora stood outside her room door, hand resting on the wood. Listening, the soft sound of his breathing carried through the space. Even, alive, she closed her eyes. Just for a second. Then turned the handle. The room was warm. Dim, Callum looked up as she entered. Didn't speak. Didn't question. She crossed the room slowly, stopped beside the bed. You'll tear your shoulder if you try to sleep like that, she said. He almost smiled. Probably a pause. Then she moved the blanket. Sat beside him, careful, close, not touching. Not yet. Just tonight, she said. The same words, but not the same meaning. Callum didn't answer. Didn't need to. He shifted slightly. Made space. She lay down beside him. The distance between them small. Measured, alive with something neither of them named. Outside, snow fell soft against the window. Inside, the fire burned low, and for the first time neither of them felt alone. Morning didn't wait for them. It never did. Light slipped through the window in thin lines, pale and cold. The fire had burned low. The room still held warmth, but not just from the coals. Nora woke first. She didn't move. Didn't rush. Just lay still, aware. Callum's arm rested near her, not touching, but close enough that she could feel the heat of him, close enough that it mattered. For a long moment, she simply watched the ceiling, listened his breathing, steady, alive. Then reality returned, like cold water. The town, the whispers, the eyes that would notice. She sat up slowly, careful not to wake him, but he was already awake, watching her. Neither spoke. "You should go," she said quietly. Not harsh, not distant, just aware. He pushed himself up slightly, winced, ignored it. "Is that what you want?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood, moved to the window, looked out at the street below. 2 women passed, stopped, looked up, whispered, moved on. "There's no hiding it now," she said. Callum followed her gaze. Never was. She turned, arms folded tight across her chest. "I didn't plan this." He almost smiled. "Neither did I. That doesn't change what it looks like." He held her eye. "Does it matter what it looks like?" "Yes." The answer came too fast. She exhaled, slower this time. "Yes," she repeated. "Because I've seen what people do when they decide who you are." A pause. "They don't change their minds." Callum stood carefully, crossed the room, stopped a few steps away. "I don't care what they think. I know." "That's the problem," she said. He frowned. "You can afford not to care." The words landed harder than she intended. "You have your place here, your work, your name." She shook her head. "I'm the outsider. I always have been." Silence stretched between them. "You saved their children," he said. "You kept people alive. And still they talk." Her voice dropped, lower. "They always will." Callum took another step forward. "Then let them." She looked at him. Really looked. "You don't understand. Then make me." Her breath caught. Just slightly. "I ran from a place where people already decided who I was," she said, "where one mistake, one moment became everything I'd ever be." Her hands tightened. "I won't go through that again." Callum didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached out. Slow, careful, his fingers brushed hers. "You're not that person," he said. "I know that. Then why are you still fighting it?" She pulled her hand back. "Because I know how fast it can turn." Outside, the wind picked up. Snow swept across the street, blurring everything. Inside, the air tightened. "You think I'd let them turn you into something you're not?" he asked. "It's not about you." "Then what is it about?" She didn't answer, because the truth sat right there. Between unspoken, it wasn't the town, it wasn't the whispers, it was this: how easily she had stayed, how quickly she had stopped planning to leave, how much it would hurt if she had to. "I should have left that first morning," she said again. Quieter now. Callum's jaw tightened. "But you didn't." "No." A pause. "And now I don't know how to." That was the truth. Simple, heavy. He stepped closer, close enough now that there was no space left for distance. "Then don't." Her breath caught. "You say that like it's easy." "It is." She shook her head. "No." His voice softened. "Stay, just one word," but it held more than anything else he'd said. Her eyes dropped, then lifted again. "You're asking for more than you think. I know exactly what I'm asking." Silence again. Then, a knock. Sharp, sudden, breaking everything. Nora stepped back instantly. Distance restored. Too fast, too obvious. Callum moved to the door, opened it. Pastor Williams stood outside, hat in hand, face tight. "Morning," he said. Callum didn't respond, just waited. The pastor glanced inside, saw Nora, saw the space between them, measured it. "I've come again," he said. "For what?" Callum's voice was flat. "The board has made a decision." Nora felt it before he said it. "If the situation remains as it is," he swallowed, "the church will withdraw its support. For both of you." Silence fell. "Hard, you mean charity," Callum said, "and standing, and influence." The pastor nodded once. "You're both respected. But this," he gestured vaguely, People talk. They always do. This is different. Nora stepped forward. What exactly are you asking? The pastor met her eyes. Marriage, or you leave. The words hung in the room like smoke, heavy, impossible to ignore. Callum's hand clenched at his side. Nora didn't move, didn't react, just stood there. Still, because this was the moment everything shifted. Not whispers, not looks, not quiet judgment. A line, drawn clear. Stay and change everything, or leave and lose it all. Callum spoke first. No, the word came low. Steady, we don't make choices like that. The pastor looked between them. Then others will make them for you. Callum stepped forward. No, he repeated, this time harder. The pastor hesitated, then nodded once. I've said what I came to say. He turned, walked away. The door closed. Silence again. But not the same. Nora didn't move, didn't speak. Because now, it wasn't just fear. It was a decision, and neither of them could pretend otherwise anymore. Callum turned to her. We don't have to answer them. She looked up slowly. Don't we? Outside, the wind rose stronger. Snow swept across Dust Hollow, erasing tracks, covering everything. Inside, nothing was hidden anymore, and for the first time staying felt just as dangerous as leaving. The wind didn't stop that night. It pressed against the house like it wanted in. Nora stood by the table long after the door closed, long after the pastor's footsteps faded. Callum didn't move either, didn't sit, didn't speak. The fire cracked once, loud in the silence. They won't let this go, she said finally. No, simple, certain, she nodded slowly, as if confirming something already known. Then we choose. Callum looked at her. We already did. Her breath caught, just slightly. No, she said. This isn't the same anymore. She stepped closer. Not stopping this time. They want a name for it. A rule. A shape they understand. He held her gaze. And what do you want? That question. Not what the town wanted. Not what the church demanded. What she wanted. Nora didn't answer right away. Instead, she moved to the window. Looked out at Dust Hollow. The same streets. The same people. But now it felt different. Like standing at the edge of something that could either hold or break. I came here with nothing, she said. Callum listened. Didn't interrupt. No place. No certainty. Just a bag and a reason to keep moving. Her fingers rested against the glass. Cold, and somewhere along the way she paused. I stopped planning my next step. Silence. Because of this place? He asked. She shook her head. Turned no, her eyes met his. Steady now. Because of you. The words didn't echo. They settled. Heavy. Real. Callum didn't move. Didn't rush it. Then stay, he said. She stepped closer. Closer than she had before. I am staying. A breath. But not like this. He frowned slightly. What does that mean? She reached for his hand. Held it. Firm. It means I don't stay because I have nowhere else to go. Her grip tightened. I stay because I choose you. The air shifted. And if I stay, she continued, it won't be half hidden. Half explained. Or shaped by what they think is proper. Her voice lowered. It will be real. Callum's jaw moved slightly. You think I don't want that? I know you do. Then what's stopping us? She didn't hesitate now. Fear, the word sat there. Honest, not of them, she added, of losing this. Her eyes softened. I know what it feels like to build something and watch it fall apart. Callum stepped closer. So do I. A pause. Then we build it anyway, he said. Her breath slowed. You're asking for forever. I'm asking for a chance at it. Silence. Outside snow kept falling. Soft, endless. Inside everything balanced on one moment. Then Nora let out a breath. All right, one word. But it changed everything. Callum didn't smile. Not right away. He just stood there, as if making sure he heard it right. All right? he repeated. She nodded. All right. A beat. Then he pulled her close. Not rushed, not desperate. Solid, certain the kind of hold that didn't ask if it would last. It just did. The next morning, Dust Hollow was already watching. They stood outside the house together, the new sign swinging slightly in the wind. Reed and Wyatt heeling, A&D forging. Nora stepped forward first, hammer in hand. She drove a nail into the wood beside it. Firm, clean. Callum added the second. The sound carried. Sharp, clear. People stopped. Watched. Murphy stood in the doorway of the inn. Arms crossed. Mrs. Hutchins paused mid-sweep. The pastor lingered across the street. No one spoke. Not yet. Nora turned. Faced them all. Her voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. I'm not leaving. Simple, direct. She glanced at Callum, then back at the town. And I'm not hiding. A murmur moved through the crowd. Callum stepped forward beside her. She's here by her own choice. His voice steady. And she stays by mine. Silence again. Longer this time. Then Mrs. Hutchins cleared her throat. Boy's fever's back, she said gruffly, looking straight at Nora. You coming or not? Nora didn't smile. She just nodded. Get your coat, she said to Callum. He almost did smile then. They walked together down the street, past the watching eyes, past the whispers. Some still judged, some still doubted, but others stepped aside, made room. At the edge of town, a child waved. Nora raised a hand in return. Callum glanced at her. You ready for this? He asked. She didn't look away from the road ahead. I already am. They kept walking, snow falling around them. Soft, steady, not covering their path, just marking where they chose to go. And behind them, the town watched. Because this time, she wasn't leaving. And neither was he.